Hey everyone, before we jump into things,
Mhm.
I want to quickly point you to a great resource for all things Agile. If you're looking for some really sharp content, you got to check out Debashish Chakrabarty's newsletter. It's called the Agile Chronicles. You can find it at agilechronicles.substack.com. He uh, he covers Agile lean leadership, product development, and his insights are spot on. Okay, so let's dive into today's topic, which was actually sparked by one of Debashish's articles. He got me thinking about the power of Socratic questioning, that ancient Greek method of asking questions, and how it can be a real game changer for agile teams. I mean, could a philosophy that's over 2,400 years old really hold the key to better software development?
It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah,
Let's find out.
let's find out.
It might seem surprising, but the Socratic method is incredibly relevant to the fast-paced world of Agile. Debesh's article, Your Sprint Reviews Are Missing This Powerful Technique, really highlights how this ancient wisdom can unlock incredible potential for modern software development teams.
I was fascinated by that connection. For those who need a quick refresher, could you break down the core principles of the Socratic method?
Sure. At its heart, the Socratic method is about guiding people to discover their own truths through a series of carefully crafted questions. It's not about providing direct answers, but rather about stimulating critical thinking and uncovering hidden assumptions.
So instead of just telling someone the answer, you're helping them arrive at it themselves through a process of inquiry. I can see how that could be powerful, especially in a collaborative setting like an agile team.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that the adoption of Socratic questioning in Agile wasn't some top-down mandate. It seems to have emerged organically as teams realized that asking the right questions was crucial to success.
It's like they stumbled upon this ancient wisdom and realized, hey, this actually works incredibly well for what we're trying to do. So let's talk about the benefits. Debashish makes a compelling case for how Socratic questioning can help agile teams avoid costly mistakes. It's almost like having a built-in early warning system for potential pitfalls.
Yeah, he uses a great example in his article. Imagine you're in a sprint planning meeting and someone throws out the question, what assumptions are we making about user behavior? That one question could completely shift the direction of a feature, potentially saving weeks of development time down the line.
I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
Mm,
But how do we actually put this into practice? How can we integrate Socratic questioning into different agile ceremonies without disrupting the flow?
okay, let's start with sprint planning. Instead of jumping straight into estimating story points, what if we pause and ask questions like, what would make this story impossible to complete? Or, what's the absolute smallest version of this feature that could still deliver value?
Those questions really shift the focus, don't they?
Okay.
Suddenly you're not just churning through tasks, but really digging into potential challenges and the core purpose behind each feature. Okay, I'm convinced. Let's move on to another agile ceremony, daily stand-ups. These can sometimes feel like a bit of a chore, just going around the room and giving status updates. Can Socratic questioning breathe new life into these daily meetings?
Absolutely. Imagine starting your stand-up with questions like, how does your current task contribute to the overall sprint goal? Or what unexpected discoveries have you made today that could benefit the team?
Instead of just reporting on what you're working on, you're prompting people to think critically about their work and how it connects to the bigger picture. It's like a mini problem-solving session every day.
Precisely. And by fostering this kind of engagement, you're creating a more collaborative and knowledge-sharing environment.
This is brilliant. We've covered sprint planning and daily stand-ups. Now, what about sprint reviews? These are crucial for getting feedback from stakeholders, but they can sometimes feel a bit one-sided. How can Socratic questioning make these more productive?
Instead of simply presenting the finished product, try engaging stakeholders with questions like, how does this solution compare to what you initially envisioned? Or what scenarios might we not have considered that could impact user experience?
Those questions go beyond just getting a yes or no answer. They encourage stakeholders to think deeply about the product and provide more valuable feedback. I can already see how this could lead to more insightful discussions and ultimately a better final product.
It's all about turning the sprint review into a collaborative exploration where the development team and stakeholders work together to ensure they're delivering the best possible solution.
Okay, this is all making so much sense. But before we move on to sprint retrospective, I have a question about the practical application of this. What about those times when you need to take immediate action, like during a production outage? Would Socratic questioning still be appropriate in those high-pressure situations?
That's a great question, and it highlights the importance of balance. While Socratic questioning is a powerful tool, it's not always the right approach for every situation. During a crisis, decisive action is key. It's about knowing when to ask thoughtful questions and when to jump into action mode.
That makes perfect sense. You need to choose the right tool for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to sprint retrospectives. These are all about continuous improvement, and I can see how Socratic questioning could play a key role here.
Instead of just listing what went well and what didn't, imagine asking questions like, what patterns do we see in our most successful sprints? Or, if we could go back to the beginning of this sprint, knowing what we know now, what would we do differently?
Those are some deep questions. They encourage the team to really analyze their processes and identify areas for improvement. It's not just about fixing problems, but understanding the underlying causes and finding creative solutions.
And by framing these discussions through thoughtful questions, you create a more introspective and collaborative environment where everyone feels empowered to contribute their insights. Yeah, it's about shifting the mindset from blame to understanding, and that's where Socratic questioning really shines.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I'm already starting to rethink how we approach problem solving and communication within our team.
Hmm.
But how can our listeners, the folks out there leading and working in Agile teams, apply these principles to their own work? It feels almost too philosophical for a practical setting.
That's a great point, and it highlights the importance of finding a balance between the philosophical underpinnings of the Socratic method and its practical application in Agile.
So how do we bridge that gap?
One way is to think about how Socratic dialogue aligns with the iterative nature of Agile at its core. Agile is about embracing change and continuously adapting based on new information. Socratic questioning, with its focus on uncovering assumptions and exploring different perspectives, perfectly complements this iterative approach.
I see the connection. It's like each question is a mini iteration, helping you refine your understanding and make better decisions as you go.
Exactly. And if we want to make this even more concrete for our listeners, let's bring it back to those specific examples of Socratic questions we discussed earlier. Think about how those questions can be adapted to your team's unique context and challenges.
So instead of just memorizing a list of questions, it's about understanding the principles behind them and then crafting your own questions that are tailored to the specific situation.
Precisely. And remember, it's not just about asking questions, it's about creating a culture of inquiry within the team. It's about encouraging everyone to think critically, challenge assumptions, and contribute their unique perspectives.
So we're talking about a fundamental shift in how we approach communication and problem solving within Agile teams. It's not just about following a set of rules or processes, but about fostering a mindset of curiosity and continuous learning.
You got it. And that brings us back to one of the key takeaways from Debashish's article. The teams who will thrive in the future are those who can combine technical expertise with this kind of deep critical thinking.
It's like the ultimate power-up for any Agile team.
Yeah.
You need the technical skills to build great software, but without the ability to think critically, ask the right questions, and adapt to change, you're not going to reach your full potential.
It's about being agile in the truest sense of the word. So to bring this all together for our listeners, what's the one action step you want them to take away from this deep dive?
I'd say it's this: the next time you're in a sprint planning meeting, a daily stand-up, a sprint review, or a retrospective channel, your inner Socrates, don't be afraid to pause, step back, and ask those seemingly simple but powerful questions.
And don't just ask them of others. Ask them of yourself. Challenge your own assumptions. Explore different perspectives and embrace the journey of inquiry.
Who knows, you might just unlock a breakthrough that wouldn't have been possible. Otherwise, it's about taking this ancient wisdom and applying it to the modern challenges we face in software development.
Beautifully put. And as Debashish so eloquently puts it, the unexamined sprint is not worth running.
I love that it's a perfect reminder that continuous improvement starts with asking the right questions.
Yeah.
This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on how to approach problem solving and collaboration within my own team.
I'm so glad to hear that. Remember, it's all about embracing that spirit of inquiry and never stopping asking why.
Before we sign off, I want to remind our listeners to check out Debashish's brilliant newsletter, The Agile Chronicles, at agilechronicles.substack.com for more insights like these.
It's a must-read for anyone who's passionate about Agile and software development.
And to our amazing listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you've gained some valuable insights that you can apply to your own Agile teams. We'll be back soon with another exciting discussion, so make sure to bookmark us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your friendly neighborhood podcast listener.
Until then, keep those questions coming and never stop exploring.
Happy questioning, everyone.